You've waited all year for this moment. The hatch is on and fish are rising. But you can't find the right fly. Every second counts, but you're fumbling with all 18 of your fly boxes, your nymphs are tangled with your dries, and the one pattern you know works, gone. Meanwhile, your buddy's already hooked up twice. In this video, I'll show you how to fix that. We'll go over the most effective fly box organization methods used by real anglers. So you're ready for when it matters most. Here's the thing about organizing your fly boxes. There's no one size fits all method. Some anglers sort them by type, others by season, and a few have their flies laid out with the precision of a dad packing the car for a family camping trip. Every fly has a place and every place has a fly. The truth is, your perfect system is gonna come with time and experience. You'll tweak it, change it, maybe even curse it a few times while you're out on the river, but the more you experiment, the more you'll figure out what works for you. Today, I'll walk you through some of the most popular and practical ways that anglers organize their fly boxes. That way you can mix, match, and build a method that makes your time on the water smoother and way more effective. But before we talk about the organizational methods, we need to talk about the fly boxes themselves. Because what you store your flies in plays a huge role in how you organize them. And there are a ton of different fly box styles out there. It's kind of overwhelming, but let's talk about 4 considerations. And the first is style. We have slotted and compartment boxes. Slotted boxes use slotted foam or silicone. These hold each fly in place with clean, orderly rows. Perfect if you like things tidy or if you're carrying a lot of flies. They won't shift around and it's easy to keep track of what's missing. I personally use this style to carry all of my nymphs. Then there are compartment boxes. This box style lets flies sit loose in little trays or on a magnetic surface. They're great for tiny midges and dry flies, but be warned, if you drop one of these, your day just got a lot less fun. I personally use this style for my tiny nymphs and my dry flies so the hackle doesn't get crushed. Now let's talk about the materials used inside the boxes. Foam is classic, lightweight, easy to use, and inexpensive, but it can wear down over time. Silicone, on the other hand, is durable. It grips better and lasts longer. Most of the higher end boxes use silicone these days. Then you've got magnetic bases. These are perfect for small flies that don't play nice with slotted foam or silicone. You just drop them in and go. Super handy, but not the most secure option if things get bumpy. Another big factor is waterproofing. Some boxes have rubber gaskets and tight latches that seal out moisture. They're great if you're wading deep, fishing in the rain, or if you're just prone to dropping your gear in the drink. Others are non-waterproof, lighter, cheaper, and totally fine for fair weather trips or backup storage. Just try not to dunk them. And our last consideration when it comes to fly boxes is size. Slim boxes are perfect for minimalists or short trips, but they don't hold as many flies. Double-sided boxes double your storage, but they do take up a bit more space. You've also got streamer and boat boxes that are much bigger, but they're nice to have if you fish streamers or out of a drift boat on a regular basis. So before you start organizing, take a minute to explore the different box options that are out there. Really think about what flies you like to use, how you like to access them on the water, and what features actually matter to you. I can almost guarantee that you're not gonna find the perfect system your first go around, so just try a few different styles, keep tweaking it, you'll figure it out. All right, now that we've got our fly boxes picked out, let's talk about how to organize the flies inside of them. Again, it's gonna take some trial and error for you to figure out what works for you, but here are 5 different methods that a lot of anglers swear by, and they're a great place to start. First up, organizing by fly type. This is pretty simple. You break your box into sections, or you have different boxes for dries, nymphs, streamers, and so on. It's simple, easy to follow, and works well if you're just getting started. Next, we've got organizing by season or bug type. With this method, you're thinking about what works best during different times of the year. Your spring box probably has some midges and mayflies. your summer box stoneflies, caddis, and terrestrials, your fall box streamers, and your winter box sow bugs, worms, and eggs. Number 3, you can organize by life cycle. If you're more of a match the hatch angler, this is probably for you. You'll organize your boxes by the different bug types like we talked about earlier, but go a step further by separating them into life cycle stages. For example, your mayfly box will be organized by nymphs, emergers, duns, spinners, and even cripples. Number 4, you can organize by size. This method is less about the type of fly and more about the size of the hook. You'll have a box or section for your really small nymphs or dry flies, and another box or section for your bigger terrestrials or streamers. And our last method, number 5, is water type. One of the cool things about fly fishing is the variety of fish and water types you can target. In this method, you might have one box for fishing small streams, another for bigger tailwaters, another for still water, aka lakes and ponds, and maybe another if you fish saltwater. You could also go a step further and get more specific as you target other species too. For example, you have one stillwater box that's for trout and another for bass. And the great thing is, you don't have to just use one method. You can mix and match to create your own system. The goal is to make sure your flies are easy to find and suit the way you fish. Now, I thought it would be helpful if I walked you through exactly how I organize my fly boxes. So I'm gonna grab a camera and see what we got going on. So I do have a confession to make. This video was really good motivation for me to reorganize my fly boxes. After last summer and winter, I got a little bit lazy. I started putting flies where they shouldn't go. If you've been fly fishing for any amount of time, you know what I'm talking about. So just to start off, by no means is this the perfect way to organize your fly boxes. This is just the conclusion, the system that I've come to after close to 20 years of fly fishing. You may like the way that I do this, you may absolutely hate it, but I just hope that maybe there's 1 or 2 nuggets here that you can take and apply to your own situation. I would consider myself somewhat a minimalist when it comes to flies and fly boxes. I've got 5 boxes of flies. Now, some of you might be saying, this guy's got 5 whole boxes of flies. Listen, there's people that have like 10, 15, 20 boxes that they carry with them at all times. So we're gonna consider me a minimalist today. But like I said, I've got 5 boxes here. Big picture, we've got 3 nymph boxes and 2 dry fly boxes. And I do have this little cup that has streamers in it. I'm not a big streamer guy, so cup's enough for me. And then when it comes to fly boxes, I've got 2 slotted waterproof silicone boxes. I've got a magnetic compartment box and then 2 plastic compartment boxes. So let's go through my first box. This is the one I use the most often. This is full of my mayfly and caddis nymphs, as well as my stonefly and euro nymphs. I don't euro nymph that often, but sometimes they're great for getting your rigs down if you're using an indicator rig. That's mostly what I use them for. And so as you can see here, I've combined a few different methods. I've got stoneflies, I've got euro nymphs, I've got mayflies. So I've organized it by bug type, seasonality, that type of thing, as well as this is a nymph box. And then if you look here, I've got smaller stoneflies, bigger stoneflies, kind of have the same thing going on the other side. I've got bigger mayflies, smaller mayflies, unweighted mayflies, and then a bunch of caddis flies. And then my second box will keep the party going with our nymphs. So on this side, I have a lot of my stillwater nymphs. So a bunch of chironomids, some balanced leeches, some crane fly larvae, and then these are all my junk flies and my scuds and sow bugs. So again, this is my nymph box, but I have it categorized by bug type or seasonality. And this one actually is even water type because these are my stillwater flies. These are what I use when I'm fishing on lakes, which I don't do that often. That's why there's not that many. And then if we flip it to the other side, these are all of my emerger patterns right here. I've got some soft hackles. These are for when a hatch is going on and I want to do like a double dry fly rig, or sometimes I'll even do a single emerger and I'll swing it. That's what those soft hackles are great for. And then these are some spinners, also great for a double dry fly rig. And then this is my 2 rows of smaller parachute flies, like size 18 plus. As you can see, there's not many left, so I need to refill that. Now moving on to my 3rd box. This is a magnetic compartment box. So if I go like this, all the flies stay there. It's magnetic, it's pretty cool. And these are all of my tiny, tiny, tiny mayfly and midge nymphs. So we've got some bars emergers, some zebra midges, some demon midges, some WD-40s. These are all like 18, 20, 22 size flies. I just don't really like messing around with the small flies in these slotted boxes. They kind of take up a lot of space. So if you can just bunch them up in these magnetic compartment boxes, works great. This is the newest addition to my fly box system. I haven't used it that much, so we're gonna keep trying it out and see if I like it. And now we are moving on to our dry flies. So this is a nifty little compartment box. It has 20 different slots. This is actually a prototype that we are working on right now. Hopefully our fly collections are going to have these in the future. But here I've got all my mayfly dry flies, my caddis dry flies. I've got another caddis, some midge dry flies, and then a yellow Sally, some more mayflies, and then some cripples. So we've got all sorts of stuff going on right here. I actually learned about using these compartment boxes for my dry flies because my hackle kept getting crushed when I was using boxes like this. And I was complaining to Spencer about it, and he's like, well, why don't you just use a compartment box like I do? And I was like, what? So he showed me his compartment box, and it works great. I've had no issues with the hackle being damaged. My flies are nice and organized, but I will say the one where I have is a big gust of wind comes and the flies go everywhere, or I drop it and they go everywhere and I lose a whole bunch of flies, but I'm just gonna risk it for the biscuit. And then moving on to my other dry fly box, this is all my big foam bugs. So that this other box had 20 compartments, they were smaller. This one has 10 compartments, they're a lot bigger. So this is where I put all my foam bugs, my terrestrials. I've got a royal flush, I've got some foam body green drakes, some bionic ants, some beetles, some cicadas, all sorts of that stuff. And then moving on to my last one, I've just got this plastic cup. It's full of a bunch of woolly buggers and smaller streamers for when the opportunity presents itself. I'm not a big streamer guy, but sometimes it starts to rain, the water gets murky, those fish get keyed in on streamers, and so I like to have a couple just in case. And then something I also use these cups for is if I tie a couple new flies and I'm feeling lazy and I don't want to put them in my boxes, I'll just throw them in a cup like this and I'll use them throughout the day. And so there we go. We got our cup, we got our 5 boxes. So that's how I like to do things, but I think it might be valuable if you saw a few more examples from other anglers. So I'm gonna grab my phone and I'm gonna make a post in our school group. That's our online community. And I'm gonna ask everyone to share a couple pictures of their boxes and how they organize them. All right, that has been posted. Now, I'm gonna go fish for a little bit, but when I get back home, I'll pull out my computer and we can run through what everybody shared. So I will see you in a little bit. So I just rolled in from the river. There was actually a crazy midge hatch going on this afternoon. For the life of me, I could not catch a fish on a dry fly. It was super frustrating, but I'm not gonna complain. It caught like 9 or 10 on the dropper. But let's dive into our school community and check out those fly box organization tips. So if you're not already a member of the community, this is the page that you will go to. I'll throw a QR code up on the screen and a couple links down below this video if you want to join. I'll try to make it easy to find. But you'll come to this video. It explains a little bit more about the community. We've got some more information down here, and then you'll click this join group button. You'll put in your name, your email, and create a password. And then once you are accepted to the group, this is what it will look like. We've got our community tab, which has a whole bunch of posts from everybody in the community. It's kind of like Facebook, but it doesn't suck. There's no ads. There's no hate. Actually, one of my favorite parts about our community is just the vibe. Like, we don't take ourselves too seriously. There's a lot of joking around. It's just super down to earth, which is kind of the vibe we've tried to create here at VFC. But you've got like your group discussion, which is if you have questions, struggles out on the river, gear questions, fly tying questions. We've got a brag board. So if you catch a really big fish or your first fish on the fly rod, you can post it in here. But let's go back to the general discussion. We've got that post that I made, the fly box organization. So let's dive into that. What I did is I just took a picture of all my boxes and I explained how I organize them. And then I asked everybody to do the same thing. We've got Spencer here. He is our podcast host. And he said that there's no rhyme or reason to my boxes other than a very basic scheme. Dries, emergers, go in a double-sided box. He's got 2 boxes for nymphs, largely sorted on size. So if we dive in here, we've got dry flies, we've got emergers, small nymphs, big nymphs, and I thought this was funny. Yes, I'm low on flies right now. I haven't had time to tie as much as I'd like. It's probably because he's making too many podcasts. Geez, Spencer, would you get on that? Dang, Alex, those are well-organized fly boxes. Mine are not even close to organized like that. Yeah, like I said, this video was really good motivation for me to organize my boxes. They don't normally look like this. They're usually a little bit messier. But he's got one for his dry flies, nymphs, streamers, and it's all just mixed up in there. Semi-sorted by size, not really. I kind of find myself in this organized chaos. Hey, organized chaos is still a method. I try Jet here. I used to try to have the biggest box I could find and have everything in one place. Now, after never finding what I need, I have a nymph box, a dry box, a large nymph stone, and streamer box. No picks as I'm at work. And we kind of talked about that where you might start with one method and you're going to keep switching until you find a system that works for you. So right there, Jet, he tried the biggest box he could find, one single box, and now he's on multiple boxes. This is what I'm talking about. What is the word organization? That's funny. I have to confess, I have mine organized very similar, but I noticed months ago that I put my flies in upside down. It just feels right in the brain. Is there a reason I shouldn't have my flies in upside down, or is this a preference thing? So what he's referring to is if you have like a silicone box like this, usually you have the hook point towards this gap. He has it the other way. But good news, there are no rules in fly fishing. So I think it's totally fine. Bob, I organized mine alphabetically by the last word in the fly name. Seriously though, I have a nymph box, dry fly boxes, terrestrial box, streamer, big ugly fly box, and a boat box with warm water streamers, poppers, etc. All of them are set up with like flies together and organized by size. For my boat box, the multiples are also grouped by color, material type. I love Bob. He has a great sense of humor. He's one of the really cool members in our group. They're all cool, but he's super, super, super cool. Clayton, just imagine a box of Lego pieces of all different sizes, shapes, and colors, all mixed together, and that's my fly box. It's pretty cool. I got a kick out of that one. I'm close. I usually fish one small stream about 20 minutes from home twice a week, so I have a box strictly for that place, which are dries on the top and nymphs on the bottom. So that's a good suggestion, Bob. If you're fishing a smaller stream, you know the water you're fishing, you know the flies that work, you can have a box specifically for that. One thing I found early on being new was I didn't have the money for multiple fly boxes or know which boxes I liked and would use long term. So all my flies got crammed into 1 or 2 boxes. I also struggled to figure out how to store streamers. So I looked into streamer wallets and ended up making some. Very important not to use barb hooks on shearling. So that's pretty cool. I've actually learned that in our group. There's a lot of guys that make things if they can't find them. So great example there. I organize mine by species, year introduced, and the time of year for use. Then I arrange those by size and color, finally organizing by type of fly. Seriously, my boxes start out with the best intentions, but end up like a Tetris board. I feel you, Mike. It happens. As I can barely remember the names of just half of my flies, let alone what bug they imitate, my organization is all over the place. This is what I'm talking about by just down to earth and relatable. Like, learning all of the names of the bugs and flies and sizes and all that, it's just going to come with time. So if you're a new angler, like, don't get stressed about it. You're going to figure it out eventually. Just like Bryant has. Zach, here's this newbie's fly boxes. So box 1, streamers, dries, miscellaneous. It's mixed because it's a big box and I've only been tying for a few months on very limited time. And box 2, nymphs are sorted by size. Other side has a couple rubber leg stones. So let's take a look at that. Yeah, so we've got some streamers, some terrestrials and dries, some squirm, looks like some San Juan worms. Yeah, and then a whole bunch of nymphs. Master, I need enlightenment. He showed this chaos. That's hilarious. I mean, let's be real. That's what most of our boxes look like, unless you're making a fly box organization video. I fish small retention ponds with from the shore with panfish, small bass. Only one small box needed with an organized mix of surface and subsurface flies. So let's take a look at that. Oh yeah, so we've got some surface flies and some subsurface flies. That's great. I don't have that many flies. Super relatable. Joseph, you're going to build that up over time. Let's take a look at this. Holy cow. Yeah, this guy. Look at all those flies. That's awesome. So it looks like he's got them organized by the river. Actually, like the river he's fishing. We've got a bunch of dries, a bunch of nymphs, bigger streamers, some foam bugs. Looks like this is nymphs. Yeah, so let's see what he says. I have a variety of boxes based on if I'm carrying a small pack, a big pack, or a float tube, or in a boat. Okay, so yeah, we talked about boat boxes. These would be great for a boat because you don't really have to store them in a pack. You can put them in a dry compartment or different things like that. A boat bag. So that's awesome. So we've got lots and lots of other ways people organize boxes, like my nymph and dries box, streamers, large terrestrials. This one was cool. He has them color coordinated. So streamers and larger terrestrials is the red box, black box for wet flies, green box for emergers, small unweighted flies, gray box for nymphs, clear box for stonefly auto tractors. I thought that would be pretty handy because if a lot of your boxes look exactly the same and they don't have like a clear lid, might be hard to find. Dave, just join the community to read this comment right here because it is so funny. Dave is awesome. Micah, we've got kind of the same thing, just organized by size. So the box for size 18 and smaller flies, box for 14 to 16, box for 12 and bigger. So we talked about organizing by size. That's what Micah does. And so on and so forth. We've got a lot of posts here. So hopefully this video sparks some ideas on how you can organize your own fly box. But let's be honest, even if your fly boxes are pristine and perfectly organized row by row, that does you absolutely no good if you don't know what flies to use. So if you want to see some examples of how we pick a fly out of our box while we're fishing, we've got a bunch of on the water how-to videos that you can check out right here.